Pawn to d4. Pawn to d5. Pawn to c4. Pawn to c6, Slav defense. Knight to f3. Knight to f6. Knight to c3. Pawn to c4. Pawn to a4, preventing b5. Bishop to f5, getting the bishop out of the pawn chain and increasing the control of e5. Knight to e5. Knight to d7. Knight to c4. Knight to b6. White to play. What to move? If knight to e3. Queen to f6 with equality. Knight to e5 was played in the game. Pawn to a5, securing an outpost on b4 and preventing the dislodge of the b6 knight. Pawn to h4, black will castle queenside, so white prepares a pawn storm. Pawn to e6, opening a window for the f8 bishop. It looks like a Caro-Kann pawn structure. Pawn to f3. Pawn to h6. Pawn to e4. Bishop to h7. Bishop to e3. Knight to d7. Black position is compact but a bit cramped. Exchanges helps when you have a deficit in space. White to play. What to move? If knight to d3. Pawn to g4 with equality. Knight to d7 was played in the game. Knight to d7. Bishop to c4. Bishop to b4. Move 14 and we reach a brand new position. There are no games in the Uzchess Master database from this position. King to f2. White's king is a brave warrior. Pawn to e5. Proposing to open the center. From e5 the pawn also helps to stop white's kingside pawn storm. White to play. What to move? If pawn to e5 a obvious move. Bishop to e2 with equality. Pawn to d5 was played in the game. King to g8. Pawn to g4. King to h8. Pawn to c6. Pawn to c6. Knight to e2. The white knight maneuvers towards the kingside, from which it can join the attack, and also protect his naked king. Bishop to g8, with the idea of moving f6 at the right moment and exchange bishops. Stockfish thinks this is an inaccuracy. However, it doesn't harm too much black's position. Pawn to b3. Bishop to c5 a great move. The black bishops eventually will be exchanged, reducing the pressure on black's kingside. Have you ever seen a bishop pinning another bishop? Queen to c1. Queen to b6. Rook to d1. Rook to d8. Knight to g3. Pawn to f6. Bishop to g8. Rook to g8. Knight to f5 a great move. Is the b3 pawn clickbait? Queen to b3 a brilliant move. White to play. What to move? If bishop to c5 a blunder. Queen to d1 black is winning. Pawn to g5 was played in the game. Pawn to g5. Pawn to g5. Bishop to e3. Knight to e3. Rook to f8. White to play. What to move? If knight to f5. Pawn to h6 a mistake. Was played in the game. Mistake. Nf5 was best. Pawn to g6 a great move. Now black's king is shielded by the h and g pawns. Rook to a3. White activates their rooks by gaining tempos on the black's queen. Queen to e6. Rook to d3. Queen to h3. Knight to f1. White's knight is a hero, it helped in the attack, and now goes to the defense. Rook to f4. Stockfish says the position is equal, but black's king looks safer. White to play. What to move? If king to g1 a brilliant move. White to play. What to move? If queen to g4. Knight to g4 with equality. If queen to g6. Rook to g8 black is winning. King to e1 a blunder. Was played in the game. White touched the right piece, but moved to a wrong square. Rook to f8 a brilliant move. White to play. What to move? If rook to d7. Queen to d7 black is winning. King to d2 was played in the game. The d7 knight is untouchable. Surprisingly, the horse didn't move since move 13. Rook to f3. Rook to f3. Rook to f3. Queen to c4. Rook to f2. King to e1. Queen to h4, preparing a discovered check. Rook to d2. Rook to f4. King to d1. Rook to e4. Queen to f7. Rook to e1. King to c2. Queen to a4. King to b2. Queen to a1. Black to play. Checkmate in 3.